Hi everyone, good evening. I'm here with you for the 10 weeks of Yuktahaar project, and we are in week 7, and as I said, week 7 is dedicated for exercise, and I'll just give you a summary of what all have we been doing for the last few sessions in week 7. So I started off giving you guidelines for exercising if you are a beginner. That was the first session for week 7. And then in the second session, it was about exercises, the important pointers, the parameters if you are an intermediate level person. And then yesterday, of course, we discussed exercise for advanced level practitioners and exercises. And today what I want to discuss is yoga. So today I'm going to discuss yoga, and in fact tomorrow also I'm going to discuss yoga, and then we are going to step into week 8 and then end this exercise week that I started in the beginning of the week. Okay, so what about yoga? Now yoga is something जो there are two worlds of yoga. एक world है, एक दुनिया है, which is the authentic yoga, जहाँ पे students बहुत sincere होते हैं, बहुत serious होते हैं. They understand yoga from their teachers, from their guru, who they pay huge reverence. They have huge respect for those teachers. And the other is the yoga which is run by the social media, the yoga which is on the internet, or the business of yoga, where a lot of things just get promoted as yoga. So what is yoga? Again, there are so many myths that you can even actually write a book on yoga, ki yoga actually mein kya hai. But just to make points very practically doable for you guys, I'll just try to explain to you कि जब हम yoga की बात करते हैं, then of course you as a consumer or you as a person who wants to maybe start learning yoga or is already maybe also doing yoga, if you really want to know कि सही yoga कौन सा है, what are the ways in which we can identify which is a correct way of doing yoga, or which is the correct source of learning yoga from. So that is something that I feel I can discuss today, because then that becomes very handy for people. So number one point here is that yoga जो होता है, it's a complete set of system. It's not only asanas. जो हम समझते हैं, जो हम देखते हैं, especially because of Instagram, we feel that yoga is all about getting into difficult postures. Most of the time Instagram can also be very intimidating, or even to see these people on YouTube as well, because we feel that we are not that quite flexible, and we will not be able to do this, and this is not something that we can do, and then we kind of feel that it's not for us. And therefore a lot of focus nowadays is on yoga being only about asanas and postures. But yoga is actually a complete set which actually has 8 limbs or 8 parts, and it's called the Patanjali Ashtanga system of yoga, because it was Sage Patanjali who devised this 8 limbs of yoga, the Ashtanga yoga, and this whole system till now is being followed by all the original traditional gurus of yoga, and this is how yoga is actually taught, keeping this 8-limbed system in mind. Now when you actually study this 8-limbed system, you will discover that asana is just one of the limb of the 8. So yoga is not only about asanas, but it's about a hell lot of other things. Now if you ask me कि ये जानना ही क्यों है, क्या जरूरी है जानना, हम खुश हैं, आसन ही तो करना है, so what is the need? The point here is that if you invest money into buying a smartphone, and then you only end up making a call, just making a call with that phone, then aren't you a foolish person? Why did you invest that kind of money to buy the smartphone with X, Y, Z features? You bought that phone so that you can utilize those multiple features on that phone, which you will not get in some other phone, right? Similarly, yoga is this complete system जिसमें से हम बहुत कुछ benefit ले सकते हैं, and then it is really foolish to only think कि भाई yoga is only asanas, yoga is only postures, which means that you are making use of only one feature, one limb, and not being at all aware कि बाकी features क्या है जिसका मैं फायदा उठा सकता हूँ, जिससे मैं benefit कर सकता हूँ. So if you start thinking on those lines, you will understand that it is so huge, it is so rich and encompassing so many things that if you only stick to asanas, you're really losing out on a lot of the other benefits. Having said that, a lot of these limbs are interconnected. So tomorrow what I'm going to do is I explain these 8 limbs, what they mean in detail, so you will know how they are interconnected. But when I say interconnected, what I mean is that if you are on say if you're practicing asana, it will help you in pranayam. If you do pranayam, it will help you in asana. So they are quite interconnected in one way or the other. So it then also makes sense that you practice yoga as a complete system. What are these 8 limbs is actually, I have outlined this in my book as well here. So you can just in chapter 8, this is page 251, but actually this is like, yam, niyam, asana is the third one, and then pranayam, and then there's pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So all of these are there. So we are going to discuss those in detail tomorrow. But today what I just want to tell you is that there are certain traditional schools of yoga जो अभी भी योगा, ये 8 अष्टांग का जो पतंजलि का जो सिस्टम है उसी के बेसिस पे अभी भी योगा सिखाते हैं. And for you, it is much better that you follow any of these traditional systems. You learn yoga from any of these systems, even for your general health, and not follow somebody who is not following this traditional system. Because of reasons that, like I told you, otherwise you're just utilizing the asana feature and just thinking that I'm doing everything, but you're going to benefit much more. Now, mental health has become like such a huge topic, right? Everyone's talking about it on social media. Everyone's talking about it outside social media. And it's a good thing that we're talking about it. There's stress, there's so many other things. People who have read the book know about dysbiosis. What is dysbiosis? Its literal meaning is life in distress, which means कि आपके अंदर में जो life है, the microbial life, that is completely in distress, and that is the reason why you go on putting on weight, you find it difficult to lose weight. And stress is a contributor of dysbiosis. So if you are in stress, but if you're working out, you're doing everything, going to the gym, taking care of your diet, doing everything, but if you are constantly stressed all the time, वो stress का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप दिन भर बैठ के रोएंगे. People think that, oh no, I'm not stressed. I mean, I still have friends, I go out, I still have a, glass of wine. That doesn't mean that you're not stressed. Stressed means when you are unable to give your 100% potential, you feel a burnout, you feel lack of motivation. There are many ways in which stress can manifest. You don't have to be really sitting down and crying there. But then if there is stress, too much stress, then it can cause dysbiosis, which can become an obstacle in your journey of weight loss. And why I'm saying this right now is because yoga, when you learn as a complete system, like the way I just explained right now, through the traditional schools, then they can really help you in overcoming stress in more ways than one. So if you go on chapter 8, there is a yoga nidra link. That yoga nidra, it's nothing but a state of, say, dhyana and dharana, which is one of the limbs of yoga. So yoga nidra, why have I put that in the book? So that it can help you go to sleep, it can help you recover, relax. So in that way, if you start looking at yoga, you start trying to make use of all the limbs of yoga that is attached along with asanas, you can really bring about a complete holistic health, not only just having a great fabulous body, but also thinking more clearly, being more clear-headed, being more enthusiastic, less of stress in life. So those kind of benefits also is something that will start reaping very soon. And because then you have these things in place, you will also see that your weight also starts coming down quite easily. So that is one thing. Now, what are these traditional schools and how can you recognize them? So, of course, by the name. So the traditional schools are, one is Iyengar Yoga, which is from Guruji BKS Iyengar. Unka main center is in Pune, but they have teachers all around the world. So even if you're outside India, trust me, there are so many Iyengar teachers. In fact, there are more Iyengar teachers, I can say, outside India than in India. So even if you live anywhere in US, Canada, Europe, wherever, you will, so it's just about, it is just about getting on their website. You go on the Iyengar Yoga website and you will be able to see all these teachers. They have the names of the teachers, even their contacts according to the locations. So you can really, just go out there and contact according to your convenience. The second one is Shivananda Yoga. This is by Swami Shivananda. Shivananda, again, they have centers. They have more than one center all around India. So they have a center in Rishikesh. They have their main, the massive one is in Kerala. But they also have in Madurai. They have in Rishikesh. So these are the places where Shivananda centers are there. Shivananda centers offer online programs as well. So you can be sitting in your house and just following the yoga courses and the yoga classes. They also have daily yoga classes. So you can simply just log on to their website or even write an email to them and they will help you with whatever options they have. But you are in India, outside India, again Shivananda, they have a whole full headquarters in Canada as well. So you have a lot of these teachers in Canada and France, of course, but also, spread all around the world. So again, if you are someone who's living outside India, again, it's something which is very, very easy to kind of pursue. The third one is the Ashtanga Yoga, not the Patanjali Ashtanga that I just spoke, but this is the Ashtanga style, which is basically called as the Mysore Style. And this is by Patabi Joyce. And this is in Mysore. As I said, the main center is Mysore. So that is again there. You can just Google, you can get on the website and they can help you with everything. I have personally been a student of Iyengar Yoga and Shivananda Yoga as well. I have in fact done my TTC, which is Teachers Training Course from Shivananda Ashram in India. And I haven't tried the Mysore style, to be honest, but I'm quite well versed with the Iyengar and Shivananda styles. So अब ये question है कि how do I know which one should I go for? So that's, I will say, a matter of personal choice. ये तीनों जो schools हैं, तीनों traditional schools हैं, and तीनों ही, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, पतंजलि का अष्टांग योगा सूत्र, जो पतंजलि योगा सूत्र में से अष्टांग योगा system निकाला है, which comprises of 8 limbs. तीनों ही उसको largely follow करते हैं, but they will have minor differences in each other. So it really depends on your personality, and I will say if you're completely new, maybe you can take 1 or 2 classes of each school. They also have a lot of YouTube videos where you can just go for a beginner session and stuff, which are of course free on YouTube. So maybe you can just try each of these schools, a session each, and then see what kind of really blends well for you. Shivananda's style has a lot of emphasis on studying of ancient scriptures. So if you go to a Shivananda ashram, you will quite end up studying a Bhagavad Gita class, attending a Bhagavad Gita class. So there's a lot of emphasis on studying of ancient scriptures, a lot of emphasis on chanting, on satsang. So you end up doing a lot of these satsang and kirtans. In the Iyengar Yoga style, that's not quite the case. So depending on your personality type, I think it's more of a personality thing, what you enjoy doing, what you prefer doing. But otherwise, all the three are excellent traditional schools, and all the three are going to help you and give you the holistic benefit, the one which I just spoke about while when I began the live session. So that is one thing. The other thing is, how do you recognize when you go for, say, a yoga class, you enter a yoga studio in, say, urban Mumbai or Delhi or so many places, right? I mean, it's yoga craze all over. So how do you know that this person is really a person who's coming or teaching from a traditional school, or, this is not the kind of yoga that you should be learning? There are a few pointers. A person who is really studied from a traditional school. So basically, how do the teachers come? So we have these 3 traditional schools, right? So you become a Shivananda teacher by learning and going there in the ashram, spending some time like the way I did. Or you can become an Iyengar Yoga teacher. They also have their own requisites, they have their own requirement before they can give you the title of a teacher. And the same is with the Mysore, they have their own levels, level 1, 2, and then you can, actually call yourself a Mysore style yoga teacher. And then of course, we have these teachers all over the world, as I said, and they open up studios and they teach, which is a great thing. But whenever you enter a studio and you start learning, a person who has studied from any of these traditional schools, one thing will be very uniform, that the person will have great respect for his teacher, his or her teacher, and the person is going to start the session only after offering a small prayer, either to sage Patanjali or to the respective teacher, whatever school he comes from. So this is one sign of a person who's coming out from a traditional school. I think a very humble thing to do, because other than just teaching you yoga, it also teaches you gratitude. It also teaches you to be humble, and that I think is something, like when I said when you learn yoga, you just don't learn asanas, you learn many things. बोलने को लोग बोलते हैं yoga is a way of life, but at the end they don't practice this way of life. But when you do these things, small things, when you enter a traditional yoga studio, you actually start, registering these things subconsciously, and they actually, then start getting translated into your life. So one sign, as I said, the person will always have great respect and will start the session and also end the session respecting, offering a small prayer to either Sage Patanjali or his or her teacher, which is not quite the case with a modern yoga studio. The second thing is, a traditional yoga school or a traditional yoga is never taught according to body parts. So there is no traditional yoga teacher who will teach you कि चलो बच्चों आज chest का दिन है, आज legs का दिन है, आज biceps का दिन है. This is not the way a traditional yoga is taught. But if you go to a modern one who have not quite spent that kind of time, who have not spent that kind of that kind of investment done in terms of learning from the teacher in the correct way, those people you do find, even you will find so many YouTube videos nowadays, yoga for abs. What is yoga for abs? There is no yoga for abs. So when they tell you these things, you should know that it is coming from a wrong place, and I would advise you that you should not follow that kind of a yoga. I might sound very old school, but that is the fact. That when you learn yoga, you should learn it from a place where they actually teach you well, because yoga is a subject of Guru Shishya Parampara, and few things should be just left the way they are. गुरु शिष्य परंपरा किसको बोलते हैं? गुरु शिष्य परंपरा उसको बोलते हैं कि किसी टीचर ने अपने स्टूडेंट को सिखाया, और ये जो सिखाते हैं उसके लिए एक टाइम होता है, that you spend months in the company of the teacher trying to learn the fine nuances, trying to learn the fine subtleties of that science, and then they give you the title of a teacher. And when that teacher is teaching that student, when he is transferring that parampara, he is also transferring all the ethics. Like I said, like the prayer is one of that as an example, but he's also transferring all the ethics. He's just not transferring science and telling you ki ye tadasana or ye hai, but he's giving you a whole lot of ethics and integrity, which the teacher, is responsible enough. The teacher is responsible usually and should be responsible enough to carry that legacy. So it's always important to follow a teacher who is coming from a traditional school. So as I said, he will not teach you according to body parts. Number 3, a traditional teacher will not teach you according to the goals. Like so many times I have been asked in the Instagram live, what is yoga can I do for weight loss? What yoga can I do if I have diabetes? What is the great asana to do if I have thyroid? So no traditional schools teach yoga according to a goal. So today is yoga for thyroid session. ऐसे करके nobody teaches. This is not the way yoga is taught. Of course, when they teach us, when we go into a ashram or any traditional place and we learn yoga from scratch, they will tell us the benefits. That like a Sarvanga asana is good for thyroid, but that doesn't mean that when you go as a student or as a consumer to learn yoga or to involve it into your daily routine, you will not be taught yoga as acha you have thyroid, okay, I'll teach you yoga for thyroid. So there is no such thing as yoga for thyroid, because even if Sarvanga asana is good for thyroid, you need to do a whole lot of asanas before Sarvanga asana so that you can do the Sarvanga asana properly. You cannot just come and do Sarvangasana and stand on your shoulder just because it's good for thyroid. So second thing, in a traditional system, yoga is never taught according to the goals. The third thing, yoga will never be taught according to as I said, weight loss or six packs or any such goals, or whether even health requirements. So one is that it will not be taught according to thyroid, diabetes, etc., etc. It will not be taught according to weight loss or muscle building or fat loss or any other aesthetics. So this is not the way these sessions are built up. What is the way in which sessions are built up in a traditional school? In a traditional school, the sessions are built up on various other factors, one of which is season. There are few asanas which can help you cool off. There are few asanas which can help you warm up. So in a yoga, of course, again, like in a proper traditional school of yoga, there is no warm up and cool down as such. हम जैसे जिम में शुरू करते हैं ना कि there is a 5-7 minutes warm up, there is a 10 minutes cool down. So that warm up and cool down, if a yoga teacher is coming and telling you कि चलो चलो let's spot jog. I know many teachers who come and they say कि चलो let's do spot jogging, this is warming up, and then we will do few asanas. This is not the way a traditional yoga is taught. There is no exclusive warm up and cooling down. There are few asanas which itself serve as a warm up. That depends on the sequence. So today, a teacher coming from a traditional school might decide that, you know, in his mind he might decide that this is the sequence I will follow. Then he will cautiously will insert the first asana as an asana that can be called as a prep for the other asanas which are going to follow. So that can keep changing, but there is no such thing that you do something for 5 minutes because it's a warm up. Again, as a cooling down, you can go for a shavasana, of course, like that's there in yoga. But of course, towards the end, they start giving you asanas automatically, which will kind of, which will just kind of help you recover. So that's again like a part inbuilt thing. You don't go out there chasing a cool down as such in yoga. So season wise, the sequences are made. If it's too hot, if it's too cold, then they change the sequences. Ki bhai, this is what we will start and this is what will be in the middle and this is how we will end. So the sequences are made that way. They are not made keeping in mind whether your goal is weight loss or whether you have diabetes or whether you have, you want to do chest or legs or biceps. So that is number one thing. The second thing is they will change the sequence according to your fitness status, like not even fitness status, but basically how much time have you spent doing yoga. So if suppose you are a complete beginner and you are in an Iyengar class, they will give you certain props that, okay, now basically yoga usually is taught in a group. So in a group there can be somebody who is an intermediate, there's somebody who can be advanced, there's somebody who is a beginner. So if they tell you to do say a downward dog pose, then if you're a beginner, they'll just give you some props so that it can help you do that pose better, and that prop might not be required for an advanced level practitioner. So they will tweak the class, they will tweak the sequence according to where you stand, how many months you have invested in your practice. Accordingly, they will change the sequence for you. If you're in a Shivananda class, they will give you some other kind of help because they will know that you are a complete, beginner. You have not invested a lot of time till now. So they will help you change the asanas in that way. But never the asanas are changed because you have a certain physical aesthetic or any such thing in mind. The other time when a sequence is tweaked is if suppose you come and say that you have a low back pain, or suppose you come and say that I'm having cold today, I have a running nose, stuffed nose. So according to what is happening to you that day, for you specifically, then certain asanas can be tweaked so as to ensure that you feel comfortable while you are in the pose. So that is the kind of detailing that is done in a traditional school. If a girl is having her periods, she can actually go and walk in the Iyengar class and tell that I'm having my periods to the teacher, and the teacher is actually going to change the asanas for her so as to make her feel comfortable, so that she can actually finish the class and not only feel uncomfortable or have cramps, but also she will feel much comfortable during her entire 3-4 days of menstrual cycle once she goes home, just because she has been taught few asanas in the class. So these are the subtleties in which a traditional school of yoga works, according to how you're feeling, according to the weather outside, according to any kind of anatomical issues you have. It could be a low back pain, it could be a knee pain, it could be any such thing, or an ankle pain, and they actually can help you either with props or changing the sequence or changing the asana or tweaking it or giving some external support. But a lot of these permutations and combinations can be done if you learn under the guidance of a very good traditional yoga teacher. And ये teachers आपको कहाँ मिलेंगे, जैसा मैंने आपको बताया, I have given you the names of these schools are also in my book in chapter 8, And how do you actually find them? It's very easy. They have their own website. So if you just go on their websites, you will know what these schools are, unke teachers kahan pe hain, where they are located. These are very, very elaborate websites. Most of them even have their own apps, so you can go ahead. Of course, you need to do a little bit of research. And as I said, if you're very new, then I will really advise you that you try all these 3 schools of yoga. Just do 1 or 2 sessions each, and you will be able to understand which one blends more with your personality type, which one makes you feel more comfortable. So I think this is about yoga, about the 8 limbs of yoga that I just discussed about, which is coming from the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, that I'm going to take up tomorrow. That what exactly is niyam, what exactly is niyam, why do we need pranayam, why do we need pratyahara, why do we need dhyan, dharana, all of these things, because most of the time they sound very esoteric. People feel that it's not meant for a modern life, our life. But honestly speaking, a lot of times I have been asked that what is the difference between yoga and Pilates. And if you just look at yoga from the asana perspective, only from the physical aspect, the postures, then actually there's not much difference between yoga and Pilates. So then you have just reduced yoga to say some sort of Pilates or some sort of gymnastics or whatever it is. But if you really want to take benefit of the yoga just the way it is, just the way it is supposed to be, number 1, you should learn from these traditional schools that I mentioned, and number 2, you should know about these 8 limbs, and you should practice them in some form or the other in your daily life, which of course I will be discussing tomorrow. Okay, questions?
How many days in a week should we plan for yoga in a training plan?
How many days in a week is like really dependent on you. Like firstly, how many days in a week can you invest into exercise? That is the first question that you should ask yourself. If for example you can say I can give only 2 days in a week, then you can do 1 day yoga, or you can even do both the days yoga, and that's it. But if you say that I can invest 5 days in a week, then you can see yoga can be done all the days. But it's just about, because yoga is a mix of strength and cardio both. If you do Surya Namaskars successively very fast, it ends up becoming an aerobic activity. When you try very hard to flip yourself upside down, you're actually stimulating your strength system, the anaerobic system in your body, so it becomes a strength workout. So yoga is very in that way you cannot really define whether it's aerobic or strength, or it's aerobic and strength, but it's actually a combination of both. So if you want to do yoga, you really like yoga, you can do it every day, you can do it as minimum as 1 day a week. If there are other exercises that you enjoy doing, like say gym or cardio, and you want to have them also in the week, then yoga can be as minimum as 1 day a week and maximum as all days a week.
If I'm doing weight training thrice a week for 1.5 hours and cardio and yoga on other days, in my body analysis, it is found that I have been losing muscle. What should be the protein intake?
Is this one question or 2 questions?
Actually, there are 2 questions. She has not written the entire question for one, so this is another question.
So what is the question? Protein intake?
In my body analysis, it is found that I have been losing muscle. What should be the protein intake?
So protein intake, if you're losing muscle, then firstly start exercising. If you're losing muscle, then definitely you're not exercising. Or if you're exercising, then you're just doing hardcore cardio, which is maybe you're just going for a run and not doing anything to build up your strength. So then you can include yoga, because yoga does help build up your strength, and it will also then benefit your running because your knees and joints will feel stronger. Try to understand that these body analysis machines, number 1, these are very, very flawed. So you should not take them very seriously. ये तो पहला बात है. I don't know why these machines exist, but of course they exist because only then they can lure customers into the gym or into the centers. Because only once they tell you, "Arey bhai, aap deficient ho, you are inadequate, you are incomplete, you are stupid," only then you will pay them, and you will come to them. So of course their point is established. But number 1, you don't take these analysis very, very seriously. Number 2, if you're losing muscle mass, then you will feel those symptoms in your body. You will feel your muscles, your joints hurting. You will feel less energy to run throughout the day. Run as in not like a exercise run, but just to do your daily chores. You will feel just less stronger, you know. You will not, like, if suppose lift kharab hai and you just have to walk up the stairs, like fourth floor पे आपको जाना है, आप ground floor पे खड़े हो, lift खराब है, you will get a headache. Oh my God, how will I reach now? So if these are the things that are happening with you, or if suppose you enter the lift but you lean like that, lift के wall पे ऐसा lean हो जाते हैं, because you just don't even have the strength to carry your own body weight. कहीं भी खड़े होते हैं ऐसे हम दीवार खोजते हैं, ऐसे खड़े हो जाते हैं, because I can't even support my own body weight. So if you see yourself doing these things, then you should understand you're losing muscle mass. Don't trust an analysis machine to tell you that you're losing muscle mass. So firstly, if you feel that these are not the symptoms, then you should just forget the machine, forget the report. But if you feel through these symptoms that I told you, then yes, you need to improve on your muscle mass, and the way of doing it is not eating protein but increasing your exercise. अगर आप कार्डियो कर रहे हैं तो उसमें स्ट्रेंथ इंक्लूड करो, which I have been saying for the last 3 days. और अगर आप कार्डियो स्ट्रेंथ कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे हैं, then trust me, just eating protein is not going to build up anything until and unless you do some activity, you do some exercise to actually utilize the protein that you are ingesting, that the protein you are consuming. Yeah? Okay. So the question which the other one had asked, what was that?
It was just a continuation of the previous question. Like, in my body analysis, it is found.
How many days in a week should we plan for yoga? And if I'm
Okay, done.
okay, so this question by Desmerera, I'm sorry, I can't even pronounce your handle name, but this seems incomplete. But if you have this question, like maybe this is an incomplete question, you can put that in the comments and I'm going to answer that for you. Okay, so I'll meet you tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you.